Hello, greetings to everyone. As in China, you would say ni hao or zao shan hao. Greetings from China. I hope most of you have already signed in. I bet some of you are still late and will be logging in for some time. But nonetheless, I will start with a very brief introduction while we are waiting for the rest of the participants to log in. So my name is Agnes Stormane, and I'm the head of a representative office in China. So maybe some of you already know me, and I hope most of you know that LIA has offices all around the world. And one of our core competences and focus is also to help Latvian companies succeed abroad and enter foreign markets. And also today's webinar is a part of our support system that our Latvian companies know about the newest regulations abroad, understand better their opportunities in foreign markets. And I truly hope that this webinar will be very useful for all the listeners. However, if you have some additional questions, maybe after the webinar, you have some suggestions like you want to hear a webinar on a different topic. Maybe you need some further assistance like lead generation in China. Maybe you want us to help you to do a market research. I will also write in the chat box my email address so you can contact me later after the webinar. I would also like to thank all of you for finding the time, for dedicating a whole hour to us. And I really hope that this will be a very useful webinar to all of you. So why did we choose this sort of a topic? Because in general, it's a very hot topic for foreign companies who want to enter the China market. Animal testing has been debated for a very long time, as well as cross-border e-commerce offers a lot of opportunities. And this topic is particularly hot to foreign companies at the moment because the China State Council has released the long-awaited cosmetic supervision and administration regulation. And it's a new regulation that was released in June, end of the June in 2020, and it's only taking place in taking effect from January 1st, 2021. And it will be replacing the existing cosmetic hygiene supervision regulation. So it's something very new, and I already had some Latvian companies that were requiring and trying to understand this regulation better. So in order to provide you really the most accurate information, we have partnered up today with ChemLinked, and ChemLinked can be defined as one of the market leaders of online regulatory intelligence portals in China. And they're developed by Reach 24 Age Consulting Group. And they're providing market access information in 4 fields: food, chemical, agrochemical, as well as cosmetic industries. And their team has more than 200 employees, and they also have around 100 regulatory experts. And they're really mostly focusing on either China or Southeast Asia region. And today we have a speaker. Her name is Angelita Hu. She has already worked for ChemLinked Cosmetic Portal for over 5 years. So she has really gained an extensive experience and a knowledge in interpreting and researching these new regulatory updates in China as well as Southeast Asia. So I really feel like we're going to be in very safe hands and with this amazing expert who will be introducing us these new regulatory updates. I'd also like to remind you that throughout the whole webinar, if you have any questions that you want to ask our expert, you can write them either in the chat box or in the Q&A box. And we will answer you these questions at the end of the webinar at our Q&A session. And also the webinar will be recorded. So if you, something happens, you have an urgent call, you have to leave us for a moment, you will be able to also replay the recording later. So without further ado, I will give the stage to Angelita, and I hope you will enjoy the webinar.
Hello, everyone. I'm Angelita, and I'm very honored to have the opportunity to give this presentation. First, I'd like to share my screen. Please wait a moment. Okay. Now I'll begin my presentation. Today, my presentation will focus on two very hot topics: animal testing and cross-border e-commerce. I will introduce the current regulatory status of animal testing in China and the future trend. For CBEC, an overview and a comparison with general trade will be included. Now let's move on to the animal testing. First, the current regulatory status of animal testing in China. You may know that China legally divided cosmetics of general trade into two categories: general cosmetics and special cosmetics. Different categories are subject to different regulatory requirements. Concerning animal testing, domestic general cosmetics can be exempted from animal testing as long as a safety assessment report can fully prove the safety. For imported general cosmetics, all special cosmetics and new cosmetic ingredients, animal testing is mandatory. These requirements are just applicable to cosmetics of general trade, where for cosmetics imported through CBEC, there is no need to conduct animal testing. At present, overseas companies that don't want to conduct animal testing can set up a factory and manufacture cosmetics in China, or repackaging the cosmetics in China, as such cosmetics are considered as domestic cosmetics, or they can choose to export cosmetics through CBEC. And until now, there are 7 alternatives approved in China. You can see all of them in this table, among which only skin photoallergy test can be used for finished cosmetics. The others are for cosmetic ingredients. There is still a long way to go for approving more alternatives of finished cosmetics in China. So how will China regulate animal testing afterward? Fortunately, there are 2 favorable policies to be implemented. Before introducing the 2 policies, I'd like to share a background which is worth noting. China has officially started its cosmetic regulatory reform since the finalization of the overarching regulation, CSAR, short for Cosmetic Supervision and Administration Regulation, on June 29, 2020. The CSAR was implemented on January 1st, 2021, officially adopting a brand new cosmetic regulation framework. Until now, a subsidiary regulation, that is, administrative measures on cosmetics registration and notification, was finalized, and another 13 regulations have been released for public consultation, but they are not finalized yet. If you want to keep track of the reform progress, you can follow this webpage on CamLink. You can see the link on this slide, and I think you will get the slides after the webinar. And the new regulatory framework, special cosmetics refer to hair dyes, hair perming products, freckle removing and whitening products, sunscreens, anti-hair loss products, and cosmetics claiming new efficacy, which is subject to registration. All other cosmetics are categorized as general cosmetics, which are subject to a simple notification. For new cosmetic ingredients, they will be divided into 2 categories: low risk and high risk. Low risk High-risk new cosmetic ingredients refer to preservatives, UV filters, colorants, hair dyes, and whitening agents. And those ingredients shall register with the NMPA, which is the Chinese Cosmetic Regulatory Competent Authority. Successfully notified or registered new cosmetic ingredients will undergo 3 years of monitoring period. If no safety issues found within the 3 years, they will be listed in IECIC, which is existing cosmetic ingredients in China. Those ingredients are not required to do registration with the NMPA. And the background, we will witness two policy shifts of animal testing for imported general cosmetics and new cosmetic ingredients respectively. Next, you can see the policy. For imported general cosmetics, according to the draft instructions for cosmetic registration and notification dossiers, which has undergone 2 rounds of public consultation and not finalized yet. They can be exempted from animal testing, but there are 2 preconditions and 3 exceptions. The 2 preconditions are: first, general cosmetic manufacturers have obtained the relevant certification of GMP issued by the competent authority of the country or region where they are located. Second, product safety assessment results can fully confirm the safety. Only fulfilling the 2 conditions, companies can apply for the exemption of animal testing. The second draft of the instructions specifies the detailed requirements for submission of the GMP-related certificates. The requirements are: first, the original shall be submitted. If the original is not available, the copy notarized by the notary offices in China can be used. Second, the qualification certificate or certification document is in foreign languages. The translation shall be provided, and the consistency of the translation shall be notarized. Third, if there are multiple production enterprises, the certificates issued by the competent authorities of the countries or regions where all the production enterprises are located shall be submitted. In addition, companies need to check if any of these 3 exceptions occur. First, product claimed to be used by children. Second, products using the new cosmetic ingredient during its 3 years of required monitoring. Third, the notifier or RP or manufacturer is listed as a key supervision target according to the results of the quantitative rating system established by the NMPA. If yes, the animal testing can be avoided. Regarding this policy, I'm afraid that some overseas cosmetic companies may face a barrier for the animal testing exemptions because they may fail to submit GMP certificate granted by the local government cosmetic authority. In some regions like EU, the government cosmetic authority won't issue an official GMP certificate due to the local cosmetic regulatory scheme. The GMP certificates that can be provided are generally issued by the cosmetic associations or international standardization organizations. Next, favorable policy is about the new cosmetic ingredient. China released the draft instructions for cosmetic new ingredients registration and notification dossiers, which stipulates that international alternatives can be used, not only the 7 approved alternatives in China, but only alternatives recognized by an international authoritative alternatives validation agency, such as OECD, ICCR, are accepted. You can find those agencies recognized by China in this slide. Besides, to use the alternatives, companies shall comply with 2 requirements. First, the appropriate integrated approaches to testing and assessment shall be selected to evaluate the toxicity based on the characteristics of the new ingredient and the specific toxicological endpoint. Second, supporting documents proving the consistency of results obtained from the alternatives and the traditional toxicological testing methods shall be submitted, including related research papers and scientific works that have been openly published and include detailed analysis, or testing reports issued by an internationally accepted good laboratory practice compliant labs. And either of those documents shall include a brief description of the testing method research process, comparative research data of not less than 10 test substances, result analysis, conclusions, and original texts, etc. Similar to the animal testing exemption for imported general cosmetics, I should say that the conditions for the acceptance of international alternatives are also stringent. It is quite difficult for companies to provide such supporting documents, as the existing qualified research papers and the scientific works are rare, and the fees for conducting the required testing and obtaining the testing reports are very expensive. Well, although there are great limitations, these 2 new policies are undeniably a big step taken by China towards reducing animal testing, although a bit conservative. Animal testing ban is undoubtedly a future trend, so we can expect China to gradually phasing out animal testing. Next, let's move on to the cross-border e-commerce, CBEC. Cross-border e-commerce refers to the online purchase of a selected list of goods that are imported from overseas countries via China government-sanctioned third-party e-commerce platforms by bonded warehouse mode or direct mail mode. It is a completely separate official and state-sanctioned trade channel for imported goods. Actually, the term of CBEC didn't really exist until 2014. The prototype of CBEC dates back to the early 2000s, when an increasing number of Chinese people studying, working, or traveling abroad bought foreign goods for their relatives or friends in China. Some people found it lucrative and turned it into a business. As international banking, social media, and online shopping grew in popularity, this business began to flourish. Later, in around 2007, big platforms such as Taobao Global sprang up. For a long time, this business has been operating in a gray area in Chinese law. In the year 2014, Chinese government issued regulations of CBEC for the first time to regulate this uprising business model and remedy tax laws. In 2016, the government introduced stringent CBEC rules, which faced a backlash from the industry. Then a grace period was offered and it extended twice until the end of 2018. During that period, requirements of pre-market registration or filing of cosmetics, infant formula, etc. were temporarily not put into effect. At the end of the CBEC grace period in 2018, China further extended the transitional policy of CBEC retail products beyond January 1st, 2019. So, since the start of last year, 2019, the CBEC industry falls under the oversight of the new policy. You can see that in recent years, CBEC business is thriving in China. The transaction volume of the CBEC market achieved an expressive increase from 2016 to 2019 and reached 10.8 trillion yuan in 2019. Well, this year may face a decline because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The exact volume in 2020 has not come out yet. The mainstream CBEC platforms in China and their market size are shown in this slide. The industry commonly divided them into two tiers. The tier 1 platforms include Tmall Global, Quora, JD, Suning, etc., which take the largest proportion, among which Tmall, Quora, and JD are more recommended because the three platforms may require more expensive fees and strict requirements for products. Tier 2 includes Mia, Ride, etc. with a small market share. As mentioned in the definition, there is a selected list of goods for CBEC. China has developed a positive list, which contains 26 kinds of cosmetics that can be imported by CBEC. You can see the whole list on this slide. Only products listed in the positive list are available for CBEC import, except for goods listed in the wild fauna and flora import or export commodity catalog. In addition, please note that only 86 cities and the whole of Hainan province are eligible for the CBEC pilot program. And you can find the 86 cities in this slide. So how to export cosmetics through CBEC? Currently, there are two legal business modes. The first one is the bonded warehouse mode. A bonded warehouse is a special administrative zone of the customs. This mode requests companies to transport a large number of cosmetics in bulk to a bonded warehouse in advance. They will be stored in the bonded warehouse until consumers place purchase orders through CBEC platforms. Then the corresponding products will be extracted from the bonded warehouse and delivered to consumers in small packages. The other one is the direct mail mode, by which the overseas products are mailed from another country directly to Chinese consumers, package by package, after receiving online orders. It should be noted that in either way, the transaction data shall be shared with the customs for clearance. So what are the differences between the two modes specifically? You can see in this slide. First, storage location. For bonded warehouse mode, products are stored in an outside custom bonded warehouse, where for direct mail mode is an overseas warehouse. For bonded warehouses, companies only need to spend a storage fee and a service fee. The staff of the bonded warehouse will help deliver goods to consumers. For overseas warehouse, companies may need to operate a warehouse themselves and have staff or rent a mature warehouse. Second, deliver duration. As of the date of ordering by consumers, it will take 1 to 5 days only for bonded warehouse mode, while more than 10 days for direct mail mode, as the product is mailed from another country. Third, the recommended goods for bonded warehouse mode are hot commodities, low-value products, products with a high purchase rate. For direct mail mode are niche products, long-tail products, high-value products, and trending products. In summary, the pros of bonded warehouse mode are good customer purchasing experience due to the faster delivery and convenient to return products, low cost, and can support big volume and relatively high profit margins. The direct mail mode allows selling diversified products, no tie-up of stocks and phones, and flexible in adjusting product sales strategy. So you may choose the model suitable for your business plan based on their characteristics. And certainly, companies placing cosmetics in the market through CBEC will shoulder some responsibilities. They shall be responsible for the quality and safety of the products for sale, and shall provide product information, return and refunded services, etc., and establish a recall system to protect consumers' rights and interests. Clearly specify the purchase warnings or precautions related to technical standards of safety and hygiene or product labels, etc., on the product web pages. Establish quality safety risk control system and product traceability system, and share transaction data with the customs. Next, I'd like to compile the CBEC and general trade from 5 perspectives. First, channel. For CBEC, only online channels are available, but there are many channels for general trade, such as e-commerce, key account, department store, cosmetic store, etc. Second, products permitted for CBEC are limited because of the positive list, but general trade, huge varieties are allowed. Third, pre-market approval. Imported CBEC cosmetics should be supervised as products for personal use, exempted from custom import license, and not subject to strict and complicated pre-market approval, like registration or notification, including animal testing. As thus, the time to market is faster. Generally, the application duration of general cosmetics is 4 to 6 months, including preparation of dossiers, testing, submission, etc. For special cosmetics, is 12 to 18 months. Regarding general trade, pre-market approval is mandatory, including animal testing. Fourth, CBEC can enjoy a preferential tax rate. Generally, the tax rate equals import tariff and plus value-added tax plus consumption tax. You can see the respective tax in this table. According to CBEC tax scheme, within a transaction limit of RMB per transaction and 26,000 RMB per person per year. CBEC products are exempted from import tariff and are left at a 30% discount of value-added tax and consumption tax. Fifth, CBEC requires less capital investment as there are no compliance fees and few fees relating to sales channels and logistics or shipping fees. So based on the comparison, I would suggest quality-free enterprises and new brands or SMEs consider CBEC because CBEC offers an excellent market access route to circumvent animal testing and mandatory general trade registration or notification requirements. And the CBEC retail channel is a relatively easy start to tap into the Chinese markets and assess the feasibilities of more comprehensive entry before taking more risks. In terms of the future regulatory trend of CBEC, I should say China will continue encouraging the development of CBEC, while in the meantime, we enhance the standardization of the CBEC market. We can find certain signs through the recent policies relating to CBEC. For the encouragement, China released 21 measures to upgrade bonded zones with an aim to promote trade and investment. Enterprises operating within the confines of the upgraded bonded zones are subject to favorable taxation, streamlined procedures, facilitate logistics, etc. In addition, China is continuously establishing CBEC comprehensive pilot zones to promote the development of CBEC and support foreign trade and investment. Just last May, 46 new comprehensive pilot zones were determined. Up to now, there are a total of 105 CBEC comprehensive pilot zones. Qualified cities and regions are expected to join the list of CBEC pilot cities in the future. For the standardization, according to the CSAR, e-commerce platforms, including CBEC platforms, will be supervised under China's new cosmetic regulations. They shall establish an operation quality management system and assisting monitoring adverse reactions and product recalls. Probably a response to this new requirement, China's top CBEC platform, Tomorrow Global, announced that CBEC imported cosmetics released on the platform shall comply with the requirements of prohibited and restricted ingredients under the Safety and Technical Standards for Cosmetics 2015. You can also find this standard on ChemLink, which is required for cosmetics of general trade. If Tomorrow Global finds or detects the illegal addition of those ingredients in the products, it will punish the merchants depending on the seriousness of the circumstances. Other platforms may also follow the Tomorrow. So before opening a store on the CBEC platforms, I would suggest companies to understand the platform policies. Okay, so that's all for my presentation. Next, I'd like to introduce ChemLink. ChemLink is a comprehensive regulatory information platform in Asia-Pacific regions, including news updates, compliance tools, reports, translations, and webinars, etc. We also offer membership service, compliance service, market entry service, and customized service. If you have any questions regarding Chinese or Asia-Pacific cosmetic regulations, please feel free to contact me. Okay, thanks for your listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask through the Q&A box.
All right, thank you, Angelita. Thank you for the presentation. It was a lot of information condensed. I hope the listeners picked up most of the information. We do have already some submitted questions that I will go through right now. And then I already see 2 questions in the Q&A box. So let's just get one by one at them. So one of the questions was also like, okay, so if we are a small Latvian company and we want to enter China market, what is the method you would be advising us to use? And in the question they were submitting whether like finding a partner, distributor in China or direct sales. But as I understood, you were very focusing kind of for small companies to directly go into the cross-border e-commerce, right? Okay, so then let's move on to, okay, I'm a small Latvian company. I want to use cross-border e-commerce to enter China. Where do I go? What are my first steps? What do you advise?
Okay, so I think I also explained this question during my presentation. I would suggest those small companies to try CBEC platforms first, because through CBEC companies there is no need for companies to do registration or notification, and also animal testing, and also the test rate for CBEC products is lower than general trade. So since e-commerce platforms are very popular in China, opening a store on CBEC platforms is a better choice to tap into Chinese market. And it is also a relatively easy start.
Right, Angelita, but like for a lot of Latvian companies, cross-border e-commerce in China is still a confusing place. If everyone around the world knows Amazon, everybody knows Spotify, then with China, it's a very different ecosystem there. So maybe you can advise also some of the best potential platforms where to be as a cosmetic brand, what they should consider, which platforms, how do they start their journey in the cross-border e-commerce?
I will suggest to more global and Collar and JD, Jingdong, because these 3 platforms occupy the biggest market share, and consumers buy product cosmetics mostly from these 3 platforms. So I would suggest these 3 platforms, but different platforms require different requirements for the products, such as the prohibited or restricted requirement ingredients, and also testing requirements. So before opening a store on these 3 platforms, companies shall understand the policies.
And what would be the approximate investment a company would have to, leave aside for the China market in order to enter through this cross-border e-commerce? Like just an estimation, what is like the minimum amount they would have to invest?
For this big platforms, I think maybe more than 1 million. I guess I'm not sure, but
1 million euros. That's a lot of money for, I think, any small company.
RMB.
1 million RMB. Well, that's still around 130,000 euros, right? Or something.
Yes, yes. But I'm not sure because the fees for different platforms varies.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So then one more question from the before the attendees was, in your opinion, what are some of the main challenges that foreign companies are facing when they're entering China market? I know your consultation company is also dealing a lot with the entry strategies. So what are some of the main challenges that companies see?
Well, in my opinion, first, the regulation. You may know that China's regulation are very strict, are much stricter than EU. And, we need to do registration or notification. And also the notification is more complicated than that in EU. And also companies need to do animal testing. It is also blocked. Second, I think the challenges is about the Chinese consumer habits. I think the Chinese cosmetic market is a bit mature, and Chinese consumers like very well-known global cosmetic brands more. So it is hard for a new brand to win the market. Third, I think is the marketing. It is very hard for a new brand to find the appropriate marketing channels and marketing methods to promote the brands. Especially the marketing channel need to fit the position of the product and successfully attract large number of customers. And also the marketing cost in China is a bit high, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We have one really successful Latvian cosmetic company that has entered China. They entered like a while ago. It's called Standards. And even for them, it's still like they've been in the market, I think, for 10 or maybe even 15 years. They're already known by some Chinese consumers. They would like ring a bell. Standards. They have 140 stores here, but they still like marketing campaigns in China are very important. I've seen like in some Chengdu city where they do these outdoor pop-up stores next to Dior, Louis Vuitton, and they're allowing their consumers to experiment with the products, try the products, see the products in these luxury places. So I can totally agree with you. Marketing is a very big challenge for most of the European companies, especially for with smaller budgets. You have to understand China is large, consumers are a lot, the competition is fierce. So you have to give in some investment to really get back at those really large sales, if that's what you want to gain. We have two more questions here that were from the Q&A box. So the first question was regarding the GMP translation notarization that you mentioned in your presentation. Should it be done by a Chinese notary?
Yes, must be done by a Chinese notary.
Yeah, how easy for Latvian companies to get this Chinese notary?
It is very easy. It is very easy. Not very complicated. Yeah. Okay. I think it's not a barrier. Yeah.
Okay. And where actually this approved ingredient list can be found? Can you maybe share a link with the participants where they can see which ingredients are approved and which are not?
Approved ingredient list, I'm not sure what's the to refer to.
You were mentioning so that there are two lists. One is like these new cosmetic products that are allowed, and one is like ingredient list, like what ingredients can they import in China. There's like a list of all the allowed ingredients.
Okay, so there is a list named existing cosmetic ingredients. So all those ingredients in the list can be used in cosmetics, and they don't need to register with an MPA. Yeah.
Correct, but where can a company find this list? Can you provide us a link where they can go through this themselves and see what is allowed, what is not?
Yeah, the list is already uploaded on ChemLink, and we have other ingredient lists such as prohibited cosmetic ingredients and restricted cosmetic ingredients in China or in South Korea, Japan, and you can find all these lists on ChemLink.
Okay, but can you please send this one link for all the participants of the webinar? So after we send a follow-up email, they can check this thing.
Okay, maybe I can type in the box.
Yes, okay, that's also perfect. Thank you so much, Angelita. And one last question for you, at least for now. So how about veganism? Is that like a trend in China? Because like that's getting very big in Europe, getting very big in Western world. How is China looking at veganism?
Veganism, I think maybe it is a trend in the future, but right now in China, it is not very hot. But some certain customer may realize it's better to use some natural or organic products or some products not tested by animal testing. So I think maybe it's a future trend, but now it is not very hot.
Okay, maybe you can share some other really hot trends for what's going on in the cosmetic industry in China.
Maybe some cosmetics claiming containing some active ingredients like some whitening agent, and also some baby care and pregnant cosmetics are hot. And also, let me think. And I think lipsticks are very hot, and lipsticks, whitening products are very hot categories. Yeah.
How about something interesting that you're noticing in packaging? Something that packaging is attracting high attention to Chinese consumers? Any trends there?
Yes, I think a good packaging would be very attractive. You can find some cross cooperation for a packaging like the palace and some some packaging relating to some festival would be very attractive for Chinese consumers. But I think the packaging is not the main factors to let them buy the products.
Okay.
Yeah, we will talk more on the functions, efficacies.
And what are some of the main factors why people purchase some or the other cosmetics? Have you done some research on key factors?
Okay, I just share my opinion because I'm mainly focused on regulations, not market. So okay. I think the main factors are functions like whitening, freckle removing or sunscreens, the function, and also the company, the brands. Some well-known brands are more attractive or more attractive, and also the price. Yeah.
So we got one more question about cross-border platforms. Like, are cross-border platforms something like Amazon? You mentioned that initial investment is required to start sell there. What are the main cost positions? So let me answer this question. So as Angelita already mentioned, some of the key main platforms where people sell the products, one is Tmall, or it's basically Alibaba Group. So it has Taobao, it has Tmall, it has a lot of under platforms underneath. Another very big brand is JD or Jingdong. And there's also Pinduoduo that is taking a big market share, but that's not something you want to go in because it's very low cost. Like no product will be able to sell there. And then there's also smaller cross-border e-commerce platforms like Kaola, as you mentioned. There's also Xiaohongshu or the Red Book, which is like KOLs advertising these brands. So there's a lot of very different platforms. So Amazon is not a place you want to go for China. We have our own Chinese platforms, and that's where you probably want to be for the China market. So the initial cost will be a deposit. Because most of these platforms, if you want to have your own store, they will require you to submit a deposit that you own the store. And if in case you do something like tremendous, like let's say your products are expired, maybe they're harming the consumers, maybe you don't own the brand yourself, they can take money out of this budget, like this deposit. If things don't go wrong, you will receive eventually the deposit back. And then of course there are costs related to like marketing, positioning. Like once you're on this platform, you still need to generate traffic for your store. Yes. So that's going to be the second big issue what people will have related to cross-border e-commerce is generating traffic, making your brand popular there. But I have a good message for you guys because cross-border e-commerce in general is a big topic. And we were considering of doing a separated webinar on that, on what sort of platforms there are, what are the costs. So we plan to do it during this year. So if that's something you're interested, let us know. We will really organize this, this webinar. So do these platforms also take care of the storages, packaging and delivery? Yes, most of these platforms, let's say if you use Tmall, they do have their own bonded warehousing. They do have their also delivery services. But again, if I'm not mistaken, it's a cost service that you use from this particular platform. So that will be additional cost for you. Angelita, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. For platforms, I think maybe they won't provide the storage or packaging or delivery services, but the bonded warehouse to provide. So
right.
But
they have partnerships with them. So
they have partners.
It's not like you have to go yourself and build a bonded warehouse. No, like there are bonded warehouses. It's a service you can outsource and someone will be also delivering your product. Another thing anyone has to really consider is customer service, because in China, consumers, when they purchase the product, they want to have an immediate customer service. I text in the middle of the night, the provider, I'm asking a question, most likely I'm getting instant message back. I receive information about the product and then I purchase it. So that's also something that brands have to consider if they choose to use this sort of service.
Yeah, and for this question, I would suggest the bonded warehouse mode. It is better. It can provide better experience. Yeah.
Right. Whew. Thank you, Angelita. Thank you everyone for staying and listening. And I hope it was useful. We will send you the links of the presentation, of the recording. If you have additional questions, something you still want to ask, maybe regarding cross-border e-commerce regulations, also feel free to reach out. I've sent my email address in the chat. So thank you, everyone. The sun is already setting here in China. I'm like, it's about to get evening. Our working day is almost done. But I wish everyone else a really nice and productive working day. Thank you so much, Angelita.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.